Allora, ciao a tutti, siamo al sesto giorno di negoziazione, appena dopo lo sciopero di ieri di Madrid, che ha visto 500.000 persone in piazza. E cosa da notare oggi? C'è stato l'Open Dialogue della presidenza della COP con tutti gli observer, quindi sia i party che anche i non party stakeholder. Un dialogo che pare sia stato positivo e cosa da notare è che i non party stakeholder hanno richiesto di avere maggiore conoscenza, maggiore partecipazione e comunicazione di quello che sta avvenendo. Vi lascio adesso con il video dello sciopero e ci rivediamo per il report di lunedì prossimo. Vi ricordo che appunto lunedì prossimo inizia la settimana in cui arrivano i decisori politici, quindi anche i ministri, e sarà la parte più decisionale. Questa è stata la settimana più informativa in cui si è lavorato su formal meetings, informal, si è discusso appunto dell'articolo 6 del Transparency Framework di finanza, come finanziare per esempio i nostri damage, e adesso si entrerà nel vivo nella seconda settimana con l'arrivo dei decisori politici. Però c'è stato anche il Global Climate Summit promosso dal WHO, tema appunto il legame tra clima e salute, un'esperienza molto interessante perché quello del clima e salute sarà il tema portante della prossima COP e in generale sarà anche il tema cardine di tutto quest'anno di lavori. E WHO vuole lavorare molto e spingere molto per introdurre il tema salute all'interno dei negoziati. Tuttora è un po' debole questo tema. Vi lascio anche per questo qualche immagine di due esperienze, una di una ragazza che è un giovane medico che si sta approcciando al tema e esprime le motivazioni per cui è interessante questo legame. Poi la testimonianza di un medico indigeno, quindi una persona che faceva parte in Canada di una popolazione indigena che è diventato medico. Non vi dico altro, vi lascio i prossimi video, prima sciopero e poi Global Summit. Ciao!
Mamá, te quiero.
Es una cantautora chilena, activista climática y parte de Fridays for Future, Chile. Su música está inspirada en la resistencia de la flora.
Hola.
Haremos algo climática, pero ustedes la escuchan y ellos llevan el mensaje, pero además yo me cuida de la gente. Sorry. See? Yeah. Se aplaude ora. Escondido a tu oficina. Vamos a aprender, hombre de papel. Vamos a soñar que la vida no se puede vender. Hoy mi bolsillo esperanzado que respira cambio. Nada se levanta de papel que la vida no se puede vender. No se puede vender. Una amiga de Fridays for Future de Uganda, un aplauso para ella. Dice peligro, no al Alto Maipo. Alto Maipo es un proyecto, un megaproyecto hidroeléctrico que se está desarrollando en Chile, en la región metropolitana, y está poniendo en riesgo el acceso de agua para Santiago, es la capital de nuestro país, y aún así este proyecto está avanzando, lleva 50% en su construcción y hay que pararlo sí o sí. Para parar, no al Alto Maipo.
And I'm here to highlight the work that Canadian medical students have been engaging in. And I want to say that this work started before I started my first year of medical school. So I have the privilege of sharing a lot of that collective work with you today. So our first role is that of social accountability, in that as health professionals, we're being entrusted with promoting and preserving the health of our communities. And it would be remiss of us to overlook the most important upstream social determinant of health of our generation, which is climate change. We also have a very trusted voice in the public, and along with this trust comes a great responsibility. So another responsibility is that in taking on roles in advocacy. So in Canada, the Canadian Federation of Medical Students this year officially endorsed the Fridays for Future climate strikes, and we partnered with the Canadian Association of Physicians for the Environment. So we mobilize medical students and residents and physicians, and of course the allied health professions all across Canada, in standing in solidarity with the youth climate movement. So in Toronto, where I'm studying, it was as easy as getting in touch with our Dean of Medicine and asking for permission to relieve students of academic activities. And so residents and students were given permission to leave school that afternoon to support this really important cause. Another advocacy initiative is writing opinion pieces, and this has been promoting more awareness of the health impacts of climate change within the medical community in Canada, and also in urging institutions to to start including climate change in medical curricula. And that leads me to our third initiative, which is that in education. The Canadian Federation of Medical Students created their own task force called the HEART Task Force, and they have been advocating for the inclusion of climate change and planetary health topics in Canadian medical school curriculum. So they conducted a national evaluation, evaluating the inclusion of planetary health in Canadian medical schools, and they were able to receive results from 17 out of 17 schools, and every school was given a score between 10 and 30, which corresponded with a letter grade between A and F, and the average score of Canadian medical schools was 19, which corresponds to a C letter grade, so we can do better. And we're hoping to reiterate this study and monitor our progress. And so concurrently with this project, Canadian students have been developing curricular competencies on climate change and health, and in each institution throughout Canada, as local student advocates have been approaching their faculties asking for these competencies to be included. And these are generated with expert input, and they cover topics such as Indigenous health and the health impacts of air pollution, rural and remote health, shifting infectious disease burden, and just this year I was fortunate to include the mental health impacts of climate change, which are often not focused on enough. And I want to highlight a cross-cutting theme among these is that we know very well that the health impacts of climate change affect different populations differently. So climate change acts already to compound existing social inequities, and that's a big problem, both within Canada and around the world. So the fourth initiative that has been undertaken by students is greening the healthcare system. In Canada, it's an incredibly unsustainable healthcare system. So we have students at each teaching institution, their local hospitals, and they're trying to implement greener practices. So for example, using the appropriate anesthetic gases, or trying to cut down on our waste. And in my new school, I was part of a group of students who actually helped recycle unused medical equipment. So these are tasks that we can do at each of our institutions, and we can be leaders in sustainable healthcare. And then lastly, and also importantly, is engagement. So we have a network of medical students across Canada. We also have a great network with the International Federation of Medical Students, so we're hoping to share our work on the curriculum project and to help other NMOs implement their own. And then we're always collaborating with our allied health professionals. So just last week, I had my first week of my obstetrics and gynecology rotation. So I was awake all night long on labor and delivery, and there were babies being born left and right. And 3 a.m. rolled around, and they said, "Meg, you're up. You can do this." And so for the first time, I helped deliver a little baby girl, and she was perfect, and she was healthy. And then that same night, I was traveling here, and the next day I was at COP, where the decisions being made there were determining the future of that little girl, and every other little baby born that night and born the night after that. So that's the message that we can bring to these negotiations. We're here because we can humanize climate negotiations, and in Canada, we're reminded every day of our privilege to be medical students and the responsibility that comes with that. So that's why we're choosing to be wise today and every day. Thank you.
Emergency measures and declaring that there's impact through climate change on the environment.
If they built another dam, they're talking about it. And I think that one will finish us off.
So what we're going to do if we ran out of water? Well, we can't make water. It's got to rain before we have any water. And it's a shame that money is more important than water. I mean, you couldn't live on money. You can't buy water if there's no water. They don't do anything. They don't try and do anything. They don't even go public about how low the water is. They can't go against the big industry like the BC dams. But we can. We'll go fight the dams all the way. And the tar sands also. We haven't given up. Just let it go.
constantly hearing about Western science. I'm always hearing about Western science, that it may take us out of the situation we're in. But never do I ever hear about indigenous people's knowledge. That knowledge that we have, we can work together. The Paris Agreement says that. It's asking for that. This knowledge in my language is referred to as dinachanya. Dinachanya is all-encompassing. Dinachanya is everything that we know for where we came from and where we are going. Traditional knowledge, dinachanya, if you translate that word, it means the path we walk. The past, today, and tomorrow. Because this knowledge is so tied to the land, it's tied to Mother Earth. It's connected. Everything is alive. The water is alive. You have a spirit. The trees, the buffalo, everything around us. And we have to respect them. You are no different than who you are. But today, they are suffering. If they suffer, we suffer. So that's just the way it is. The tar sands you just seen here is the most destructive operation that we have in Canada. It contributes to about a third of Canada's greenhouse emissions. It is totally concentrated in one place. The water is impacted. Everything is impacted. Because the north is so delicate, everything is changing rapidly. The changes that we cannot restore. Where I live is that just before I came here, that little rodent, the skunk, he thinks he thinks that he gives us the best perfume. He thinks that's his strength. Well, it is. But this little guy, he should be in bed in October. But he is still awake. That's not normal. I have a bird feeder, and guess who goes there to eat in the evening, in the night? The fox. Where he should be hunting rabbits, mice. I've never seen that before. So the changes is impacting us. Every time we go hunting, we have to ensure that that bird or that moose or the buffalo is not sick. About 50 years ago, we would just take the carcass apart, be thankful, but today, we open it up, we're looking at everything. I am not only a hunter now, I'm also a doctor. But you don't have to do that. You can go to the store and buy a steak. You don't even have to check it. So that has changed. The north of the 60th parallel, Northwest Territory. As Courtney introduced, I was part of the Elders Council. The north has the highest rate of stomach cancer, opposed to the rest of Canada. Canada has stomach cancer the third highest. For some reason or another, stomach cancer is the highest in the north. So questions are asked by the elders. And the doctors that work with us only can sometimes point to the environment. We have some very unusual types of cancer in the north. But there is no research being done of the impacts and the effects of where this is coming from. But the government of Canada can expand and support a new tar sands right by Wood Buffalo Park. Tap resources. We cannot afford that. We cannot afford another bitumen mine in our territory. The oil is not needed. The oil is not needed in the world. So why are we going to go and tear up the land and destroy the water? Site C, up the river from us, that they want to obstruct the river so they can create electricity for the south. They do not need the electricity. So, where I live, indigenous people, we are impacted dearly. Stanton Hospital just recently let go the Elders Council. The Elders Council that is so important to give advice and direction to the hospital, to the doctors, to the nurses. But some bureaucrat determines that we should dissolve the Elders Council. I was upset about that. So, we didn't stop there. We have now another Elders Council, and we're putting together a healing camp, a bush healing camp. The Arctic Indigenous Healing Foundation, just outside of Yellowknife, they have a camp totally constructed by the indigenous people and giving advice for healing. Our people have the knowledge of all the medicines that are in our backyard and on the river everywhere. We have the capabilities of doctoring ourselves. And mental health is on the rise. Mental health. So this healing camp, hopefully, that we will begin the phase of, we already have an idea of an architectural design of a building. But we need the resources to begin the construction of this healing camp. This big word that Canada used, reconciliation. Reconciliation. You want to reconcile the injustices of the past. The way Indigenous people see reconciliation, we need to reconcile with Mother Earth of all the damages that we did to her and the abuse that we put upon her. We do that through ceremonies. To be thankful, to be grateful. But now, you want to reconcile. And that's a big word for us. In my language, none of it. None of it means to take down and start over. If you want to do that, that's a good idea. And that's the best idea. I really recommend that this Global Climate Health Alliance, you use the word alliance. If you want to be fair, bring forth the Indigenous peoples so they can sit with you and chart a vision of how we're going to save the crisis that we put ourselves in. I'd be willing, and I'm sure the other Indigenous elders will be willing to do that. If you don't have that, Indigenous peoples, there is something big missing. We come here to move the Paris Agreement. The Paris Agreement has 6 articles on the rights of Indigenous people, of how they're going to move forward with their knowledge and the crisis that we're in. Now, if you want to move ahead, the Indigenous people are also asking that we insert human rights in the Paris Agreement articles, because it is a human right. It is, we have a lot of work to do in a very short period of time. Very short period of time. I'm not talking 10 years. I'm talking in the next 5 years. Because prophecies, our prophecies says that. I live by the prophecies. Yesterday, we had many failures to how you moved ahead in the industrial world. There has been many failures of a plan of how to deal with the fossil fuel. had many failures in how to help third world people. We had many failures of how to protect the water. But today, there is hope. There is hope where we can work together, but you must include the indigenous First Peoples at the table, at your conferences. If you have children, these should be your hope. If you have grandchildren, you should be really protecting their future. Tomorrow is I'm always looking forward to freedom. Freedom. We use this word literally, loosely. Freedom. Where I live, I'm free. I am free to go where I want to go. I am free to go and take the water and thank the water. But we must all work together. The freedom of the planet, the freedom of the trees, the freedom of the water, the freedom of your food security, the freedom for give these deniers, give them a strong choice so they can see the future, they can see the freedom and live by the natural laws. So, my friends, this day I have hope. I'm here standing. I have my grandchildren, those beautiful children. I have hope that my daughter's here. So, my friends, I am thankful. I am grateful that you've taken the time to ask me to come up here. And you have a beautiful, wonderful discussion, meeting in the next one. Masi Cho, thank you.
Thank you so much, Elder Paulette. These are really important words, and I think we have in this world moved very far away from living in harmony with the plants and the animals and the earth around us, and it's really important for us to find our way back to that. Okay, I'm going to now invite up to the stage Dr. Renee Salas of the Harvard Global Health Institute. Harvard Global Health Institute is also one of the sponsors and co-conveners of this meeting. And Dr. Salas is also one of the lead authors on the U.S. policy brief for the Lancet Countdown. Dr. Salas is going to walk you through the structure of the breakout sessions and tell you where to go for each session. And hopefully in those sessions, we'll start to talk about how we make progress on this very challenging issue, but very important one. Renee.
Good afternoon. Buenos tardes. I hope you all have been as inspired by the day thus far as I have, not only from the unparalleled speaker lineup that you've all experienced, but also by connecting with all of the leaders in this room, from the early pioneers to the future leaders of tomorrow. So as Jenny said, the goal now is to really harness this collective wisdom and energy in this room. And I have the honor and privilege of forcing you into a very difficult choice about which breakout session to go to. But the good news is there is no wrong choice, because there's an amazing speaker lineup in all of these. So you can find it on the back of your program, in addition to listed behind me. So the 5 groups are healthy people in healthy places, health, civil society, and global engagement for a safe climate, transformative pathways for sustainable and healthy food systems and diets, clean air by 2030, the winning nexus of addressing air pollution, climate change, and NCDs, and facing the future, protecting health, well-being, and equity in the era of climate change. So the structure for these will be the following. So there will be a short welcome. This will then be followed with some lightning presentations, and you will see the speakers listed on the back of the program. You will then divide up into small groups to have discussions, and then report back what your small groups have, the discussion you guys have had, and the key